What's going on, everybody? It's Charles. Today of the days, I'm joined with Adam. Wait a minute. Is he this way or is this way?
Brady Bunch
Adam.
kind of thing happening.
Yeah. And Megan. So what we are doing today is talking Spektrum. Spektrum is the package for 2018 in Canada, 2019 for US and Canada, where you got to pick a bunch of really awesome cars. And if I were better at things, I would have my yellow Golf R parked right behind here, but I'm lazy and I didn't feel like doing it. This all came about when I scored another Spektrum binder. Megan, hold that binder up so our friends can see what this is. So this binder was essentially the swatch book for people to look through to pick their special order Golf R or e-Golf in Canada. My old dealer actually has two Volkswagen dealers, and I got the one from the dealer that I bought my car at, and then I was able to sweet talk my way in to getting that second binder from the sister store, which is really, really dope. This is a very small community, very tight-knit community. In fact, so small that Megan hand wrote letters to every new Golf R owner in the Spektrum package, which was how many of those did you write, Megan?
That was 199 in the United States.
So sorry, our Canadian friends up north, Megan did not handwrite you a letter, but all of us got one.
I still love you.
She still loves you. We all love you, our friends up north. But it was really, really special and super cool to get a swatch with a badge, a handwritten letter from somebody from Volkswagen that is about your car. Did you not bring your card? Me?
You have to show your card at some point.
It's right here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll insert. Wait, here we go. Insert thing. I'm not going to do it. It'll just be as is. Okay. So anyway, I scored this extra binder, and Adam, he has sort of become the Spektrum godfather. And so Megan does so much for us in the golf community. And for those of you guys that don't know Megan, she's the golf product manager for US market. She's also in charge of Ardeon, I think, too, still, maybe. Yeah. Very, very small number of Ardeons, but those are also super dope. So Megan does so much for all generation golf. Lives in the Mark 8 group. Sometimes it feels like poor Megan tries to help out everybody as best she can with their nonsensical questions. I'm probably the leader of that pack, by the way.
Your fault.
But we wanted to do something really special to thank Megan for all the hard work that she does in the golf community. So I scored this extra binder. I'm like, what the heck can we do? My first text was to Adam. I'm like, yo, we got to do something awesome for Megan. So we kind of came up with this plan that we were going to send this binder around the continent almost. I don't think any went to Mexico, but we're going to send this binder around the country and have Golf R owners that have a Spektrum car sign on their color. Megan, open that book up so people can actually see the what it looks like. They would sign on their color.
But with more meaningful messages than a yearbook, like "Stay cool, call me." Yeah. No, these are way more meaningful.
Stay rad. I wish I would have snagged that from Adam to put yellow up front. By the way, I'm mad at myself that I didn't do that. But anyway, so what we wanted to do today really is tell some of these incredible stories of how this binder got around the country and Adam's hard work on it, and then how we actually presented it to Megan, which turned out really cool. So I grabbed this binder, I signed it. I am very happy that I was the first one to actually sign this binder. Then what I did was I sent it to Melissa, who owns the one of one Caribbean Green, and you better not call it Caribbean Blue or she will get mad at you, Mike Bell. And then honestly, from there, short of a couple of things, I don't know what happened to it. So I'm going to pass it over to Adam and let him tell you guys some of these incredibly cool stories. And I'm just going to, I wish this was a beer. I'm just going to crack a beer. Yeah. Instead of just water and listen to the stories.
Yeah, no. So it was really great to get a message from you about like this great thing that we could do for Megan. And coincidentally, about the time that you started talking to me about this, it was in August of last year. So Low Show was coming up. We were gathering a handful of Spektrum owners to go to Low Show. You were able to sign it and send it to Melissa. Melissa brought it with her to Low Show. You weren't able to be there, but there was 7 Spektrum owners there. So Megan also happened to be at that show. So we all have this binder and we're like, sneaking it around, signing, making sure that she's not around. So all the owners at Low Show had signed it. And the idea was that, like you said, we're going to send this binder around to everybody. But after I got it home from Low Show, it was sitting on my desk, and I'm just like kept looking at it for like a week, like, holy cow, where do I start and what do I do? And then I did some quick math because Charles was really gracious and was like, "Hey, I'd love to help support and pay for some of the shipping. Like, let me know what I should budget." And I was like, "Well, I think it costs like $20 to ship the binder itself anywhere, and it's going to take a week, and people will take their sweet time with it. There's not enough time. There's like 150 people I know that I can send this to." And so the math just didn't work out. And so I decided I wasn't sure that this was the right decision. I broke the binder up into all the different colors. And the very first thing I did was I sent like 10 or 15 colors to Mac in Canada, in Calgary, that has the 91 blue. She knows a handful of owners up there. And there was also kind of this point where I was like, man, do we send it to Canadian owners? And the answer was very quickly yes, because they feel like Megan also speaks for them, even for being, a USA only, I don't know how you guys say that.
Enthusiast cross borders.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. So I was able to send like 10 or 15 colors to her. And then from that, like whatever was left, I just started like messaging people asking for their home address or personal address or like wherever I could send it so that they could sign it. And I just told everybody, I was like, look, we're trying to get this done by Wookiees so we can present Megan with this binder, get it, sign it, send it on. One of the great things that when Mac got all of the cards, she started taking pictures of the signed card with the car. And so some of the early people didn't get that opportunity. And I think everyone's like, oh, duh, that would have been so cool. So we have amassed, and Megan has seen some of these pictures, we have amassed a collection. I had people email me their picture of the card with the car. So I don't know, I probably have like 80 pictures from different, like, there was a lot of people that signed the card. Some people just like, it was very quick and easy for them to sign it and send it. Some people wanted to wash their car and make sure it was clean. I was like, just take the damn picture and move on. Because
that's why I didn't do it. I didn't have time to wash my car.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Megan, you're not important enough to actually wash my car.
Yeah. So as far as timing, so Low Show was Labor Day weekend in September. I got the binder home, and it was like, kind of mid-September, almost October by the time like I really started sending out all these cards. Okay, so I think one of the stories about one of the cards I wanted to tell was Viper Green, because Viper Green, the one that's in the front of the binder, it was one of the first I sent out. It was the very last to make it back in the book. Obviously, it's the most popular color, so I anticipated like the most number of people that would be signing. I want to say there's like almost 20 people that signed it between US and Canada. It might be hard to, because some are notes, some are signatures. I have a whole spreadsheet that of who did what when. So
it looks like we have 20 Viper Green metallic signatures.
Okay.
And notes total.
Pretty impressive. So what happened with Viper Green was it was in Canada. It started making its way around Alberta, and then it headed east. And then at that point, there was like this and then it was going to go back west and come back down the US. At that point, what happened was that there was this crazy weather storm that ended up washing out like a bunch of the freeways highways up in BC. Mm-hmm. And so it was lost in the Canadian mail for like a month. And so, one of the Spektrum owners sent it with tracking, and we just like, there was no information on it. And so we were communicating back and forth, and then I was communicating back and forth with the guy who was supposed to get it, and they're like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I should have submitted something with like Canadian Post to look for it, but it suddenly ended up back at the person's house who'd sent it a month later. Wow. Fortunately. So I was like, okay, we can't go west because there's no roads. We got to go east. So send it to New York. Send it to New York, and it just basically like went all around the US. And so I purposely skipped a couple owners that I knew were going to be at Wookiees in the Woods that I could have sign it there. The last person to physically have it sent to was JP in Utah, because I knew he would be driving, and I was like, man, if anything happens, like he'll have it, he can bring it. And so he was the last delivery of the Viper Green card.
So he drove the card with them from Utah to Tennessee, North Carolina.
Yeah, and I can tell, knowing that story now, Adam, I can tell JP was the last one to sign this Viper Green card, because he found space in like the tiniest square centimeterage at the bottom.
Yeah, I have
it's
the
still
order.
Very clear. Like he thanked me, I think, in Hungarian.
Yeah.
For his card. So it's incredible.
So that was quite a story of the Viper Green. One of the other ones that I think I told Charles about really early on was the Dust Gray card. Um, so at one point, I think so in the U.S. there's 5 Dust Gray owners. I don't know any in Canada. I don't know if there are any in Canada at this moment. I can't remember. But the Dust Gray card, if you remember Gerald, who had one very early on, it got
Uh,
totaled, and so I wanted to also
Mm.
send it to current and former owners, people who either have or had a Spektrum short story. I think his car got spotted on the road somewhere, but we don't know the owner. But it is back on the road, so even after being totaled, I sent it to his. He's in Tennessee somewhere. Sent it to his place, and I was like, "Hey, I got the tracking. It says it got delivered." And he's like, "All right, cool. Let me check my mail." It wasn't there, and so I had a FedEx tracking number. I called FedEx, and they're like, let me call the driver." And so like they call the driver. They get back on the phone with me. They're like, "Yeah, we remember that delivery. It actually got delivered around the block to a different building." And like they gave me the name of the building, and it was like another resident. And so I called the building, talked with like the front desk person, and I said, "Hey, there's this package. Here's what it looks like. Here's who it's addressed to. Do you have it?" And they confirmed that they had it. And I was like, "Okay, Gerald's gonna come down like in 10 minutes and just walk around." And they're like, "Just make sure he brings his license so that we can confirm that yes, this is him." So he got it, brought it back, and was able to continue sending it off. So there's that. The Dust Gray card nearly got lost. That was the first one where I was like, "Oh crap." I think the Viper Green incident happened after that, but yeah, the Dust Gray one was the first one where I was like, "Okay, everybody needs to send it with tracking if possible, please." One thing to think about too is like this went to 140 something people. The cost, like everybody shared costs of just like sending it on to the next person. So I have an idea also of how much I think that cost, but maybe I'm wrong. The Irish Green card, this one ended up, I think, making it to probably 4 or 5 different people, if I remember right. One of the people that it got sent to was the owner, who ended up getting T-boned in an intersection with his Irish Green, and it got totaled. That car ended up on Copart for some period of time, and then I got messaged by the guy who bought it and was like, "Hey, um, I bought the car. I'm planning on fixing it." In the meantime, that previous owner said, "Hey, the car was great. I'll have great memories, but I want to send you the card from Megan and the window sticker." So he sent that to me, and I held on to it for a while. So when the guy who bought the car from Copart told me about it, I said, "Hey, I'll make you a deal. If you fully repair the car, I will send you the window sticker and the card from Megan."
That's
And so
awesome.
he
Wheeler dealer.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I just want it to be back on the road. He did, like, sent me the title and everything, or like showed me pictures, and so I mailed it out to him, and he kept it. Uh, when he got sent the original owner of that car, who was in New York, sent it to him in New Jersey. Um, there was a mix-up with USPS because the address that he lives at doesn't come up in USPS system, and it like auto defaults to an address like 2 miles away from his house. And so
I'm sure that's not
again,
inconvenient at all for him in his
Yeah,
oh
life.
no problem.
no,
Jeez.
no, exactly. And so like what happened was got tracking again. I saw that it had been delivered, and I was like, "Hey, it's there." And he's like, "No, it's not." Um, and so communicating back and forth between the three of us, we realized, oh hey, they actually sent it to this other address. And the guy was like, "Oh, I know this address. I've been there many times in the last couple of years because this is a regular occurrence." So he goes and drives out to the house and knocks on the door, and nobody's home. Darn it. He goes back the next day to do the same thing, and still nobody's home. And he looks down the street, and there's the postman like down the way. And he goes to the postman, and he like starts kind of telling a story about the package that he needs to get that's in this other person's locked mailbox. He's like, "Look, here's this information. Here's my ID, like with the address that it should have gone to." And he talked the postman into opening it and opening up their mailbox and giving him the
What?
package. Yeah.
Man,
Um,
yes, for the win.
I know,
Wow.
exactly. So that was one of the ones where, again, it could have been lost, but we
Please.
figured it out and got lucky. Basically, who knows what would have happened with it if the people that were at the house actually received it.
Right.
Could have been in the trash. I think he would have, he was going to end up writing a note to leave on their door. They could have been on vacation. They could have been dead. Who knows? One of the other ones, this one didn't really have an interesting story about being lost, but the Reseda green, actually, let me roll back. How do you guys say, is it Reseda, Rosetta?
I say Reseda.
Reseda.
Like you would say for the town in California, Reseda.
Okay.
I'm defaulting to whatever Megan says, so I'm not opening that door for myself.
Okay, perfect. So this color is pretty interesting because there's only 2 in the U.S. There's 1 for Canada, and so for a long time we've known Dean that owns Futrell Auto Works in Oregon. Is one of the owners. We've often wondered who the heck the other owner is, and I think we know that it was originally sold in California, and then it got spotted a bunch of times in the Bay Area. So I live in Seattle. I happened to be down in the Portland area for work, so I stopped by Dean's shop and just had him sign it. And he signed it all big, and he got a big sticker and put you can show it. He put it big. This is perfect. Yeah, he's like, decal. You're never gonna find this other guy. I'm just gonna take up all the space. And so then 2 months later, I get a message from the other guy because there were people who kept spotting him at Sonoma Raceway, and I was like, if you see the car, just tell the owner about my handle, my email address, I need to talk with him. And so I think finally, after a few times where people probably approached him, he reached out to me. And when he reached out to me, I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen a follow notification from you. How long have you been following? He's like, oh, it's been several months. I've been lurking. And I was like, God dang it. It happens all the time.
Well, and the hard part too is you can't just because we're trying, Megan follows kind of all these things in the golf world and the Spektrum specifically so close. You can't just be like, hey, I need the address of this guy because here's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. I've tried many times to ask those questions, and Megan will not give me people's personal information. So it's all up to social media, people spotting cars, and then people finally reaching out. The funny story about that card is the fact that Dean took up all that space. When I had sent the card to the second owner, I had pinged him a couple times. I was like, hey, just want to make sure that the card is okay. Had you sent it? He's like, no, not yet. I'll send it soon. He then later told me, he's like, I had to get a custom size sticker to fit on the card because all of my stickers were too big and I needed one to be able to fit on there. So I had to order extra stickers on that size so that I could put my sticker on there too and then sign it.
So let it be known that the 2 Reseda Green owners in the US each have decals for their companies, and they each applied a decal to their page, which is pretty cool.
And they're the only ones I think that did that, put a sticker on there. Everybody else was just signed and stuff, but I thought that was pretty funny that because he saw Dean's and he's like, well, I can't not put one of mine on there. And it was interesting too, with all of the cards, there were patterns of how maybe the first person signed it, whether it was just a signature or a short message. You could see patterns of that happening as more and more people signed it. So there's some that started with a really big message, and then it's a block of big messages. And then space shrunk. And then there's some where it is literally just a signature, and the rest of the page is just signatures because that's kind of what people decided to do. One thing that I want to say is that there's a handful of cards in there that were signed by the one of one owners. So we know Melissa's in there with the Caribbean green. She signed, took up all her own space on that card. Perfect. I coincidentally, in the last few months, found the one of one in North America. So that's US and Canada, the only dark burgundy pearl, and it happens to live a couple hours from me. So I had been planning on meeting up with him to just see the car, get the card signed. It just didn't work out. So he gave me his address and I mailed it to him. And he did the same thing where he wrote out, the whole page where one of one, he's the only owner. Yes.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool to see that. There's also a couple other instances, like the raspberry red one, that has had 2 retail owners.
Right.
Both of them have signed it. There's also, I think, on the deep blue pearl, there's only 2 in the US. The original owner signed it. Yeah, there's the raspberry red.
And that guy was at
Um,
Wookiees.
yeah,
The current owner was at Wookiees, and I assume
Yeah.
signed it there.
so Tyler's the current owner. He approached me at Low Show. He was there in Pennsylvania at Low Show. He lives in Ohio. He happened to be at Low Show with some friends, and he's like, "I want to buy a Spektrum," and I was like, "I will help you in any way I can. Like, let's figure it out." Um, Josh, who was the first owner, happened to live like an hour away from him and listed it for sale like a couple months after Low Show, and he's like, "This is the one." So he ended up buying it, being like an hour away from him, I think. And then
Sick.
he was able to make it out to Wookiees in the Woods too.
Love it. That car's so good. Like the color's so good in
Yeah.
person.
It is. There's a lot of colors that just I don't think translated really well on just a rectangle piece of paper.
Yeah.
Flat piece of paper.
But they were all from all the information I have is from Megan, so they were all hand sprayed. So it's actually paint on those sample cards that anybody's looking at. So
That's crazy. So of all of those stories, which one is like your favorite story?
I would say it's got to be the one with the Irish green, where like he talked the mailman into like opening it up
So
to give it to him, because who knows what could have happened if that didn't happen. Yeah, and there
Wow.
was lots of like kind of close calls where people were like, "Oh yeah, I see tracking shows delivered, but I didn't see it in the mailbox." And then like I get a message an hour later of, "Oh, my wife got the mail, so yeah, we have it." Like
panic.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
Relax. The
Yeah.
fact
There was
that so were there any of the cards that you had sent out that are forever lost or otherwise unretrievable at this point?
there's one Techno Blue Pearl. So that was the last one I was going to kind of tell a story about, is that I got there was 4 made in the US. I forget how many in Canada, but I got one of the US owners to sign it, sent it back to me. Then I got an eGolf owner up in BC to sign it, and they sent it over to someone in Quebec that has a Golf R. They signed it. On its way back to me, I don't know, I can't remember if it was about the same time of the kind of whole highway disruption, but it is currently not known where it lives. So I contacted Canada Post. They were like, "Hey, we basically didn't touch it since it was going back to the US. You need to file something with USPS." So I do have an open request to USPS with a picture of the card and like description, because somebody had taken a picture of it signed with their car. Picture of it, description of what it was. I've had that request open now for like 2.5 or 3 months, and
Wow.
they still say they're looking for it. So, I mean,
Nope,
that's
it's not there.
And there's part of me that says, "Man, I should grab another card and like send it out." But I'm sorry, Megan. I feel like it's part of the story at this point. Like, there's all these
Just get
cards
some
with
notebook
signatures.
paper and write Techno Blue Pearl
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
MIA, gone rogue. Adam, so
I'll take my other binder that I said I would never take any cards out of, because it's like my one complete binder that I didn't
Don't do
touch
it.
for punching the cards.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to leave that one intact. And
Keep
to your
it.
point, Adam, yeah, it's part of the story.
Yeah. No,
So
all of those signatures in there, I could tell you stories about them for hours.
Adam, have a question for you, as we've just listened to all this hard work that you did because like I got the binder and I just sent it to one person. So I can take like 1% of the 99% or 100% credit that's deserved. How did you get yourself into this situation as a Spektrum enthusiast?
That doesn't own a Spektrum.
I'll let you just tell it.
Yeah, tell us your story, Spektrum Godfather.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I told this story at least to several people, but it started as a joke where I live on Instagram, as it's pronounced VAG, and I started like seeing all these colorful golfs pop up, or Golf R's, and realized about the Spektrum program. Like, it's not something that I knew about when I was buying my car. I bought a 2017 in 2019, like right after the program had ended, and then shortly after learned about it because I was still all brand new to Volkswagen. I was messaging back and forth with Melissa. I was like, how many more Spektrum owners do you know? How many are there? You say you're the only one. Like, this is crazy. And so she wanted to follow more Spektrum owners, but there's a lot of Spektrum owners that just don't post car content. And so it's like, I don't really want, like, we were both in agreement. I don't want strangers' kids like popping up in like what's supposed to be like my car feed. So I started the Instagram handle Spektrum.only. And I was like, here, this is a place where we can just follow Spektrum owners. We don't have to do anything with it, but it will just be a list of Spektrum owners. I didn't think about it at the time that people buy and sell cars and that there will end up being an unknown number of people in that list. But there was a period of time where like so I started that as a joke, handed it over to her and was like, look, if you want to do something with this, like, let's do it. There was like a month that went by where I'd kind of forgot about it and it just kind of sat. My family got sick. And so I was just sitting in my living room one evening and I was like, well, I guess I could start like making posts about this and like actually start following people and like hunting people down. And that's what I did. I stole like pictures from like 10 different people. I don't know if Charles was one of the first ones because I was afraid at the point where it was like, if I take his
He's
pictures,
so
like,
mean.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to take his pictures and then have him be like, this idiot. One of the very first person, coincidentally, that I had made a post on was Orlando with the Violet Touch Pearl, not knowing that he was running the at Spektrum VW Instagram handle and running the Facebook group, like all things that I'd been following and joining. He's kind of this like, the man behind the curtain. So I did that. I posted his car and like 9 or 10 others, and Megan messages me like the next day and was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I don't know, like it must have popped up because of hashtags or something, but she's like, wow, this is really cool. Appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. And like, she just totally
and she's
opened the door.
regretted that thing she has sent since that day.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that, the way that Megan, the way that you interact with enthusiasts online, like that is just your nature, is to like be helpful and to want to provide the right information to people who are asking. So that was extremely helpful. And I don't think I would be in this deep had you just not been there and open and willing to answer a bunch of random questions every day for several months.
That's what she does. That's unfortunately the situation.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty obvious that, we can tell what kind of enthusiast Megan is based on the fact that she has a display case of Hot Wheels that is really, really awesome. So we get all these signatures signed, as many as we can, at Wookiees in the Woods this year, 2022. There were, Adam, how many total did we end up with Spektrums? Like through the event, I think we can include all of them.
There's one that came and went, but overall there was 22 different Spektrums in, I think, 15 or 16 different colors, and plus one for Carbon Steel Gray, the 2017. That was the catalyst for the Spektrum program in the U.S.
So at Wookiees in the Woods, we have a raffle, big raffle, raised like $34,000 something for charity, which is really, really just incredible. With, I don't know how many people are in this room, like 600 people, call it that, maybe more, maybe less, it doesn't really matter. We decided that this was going to be the place that we wanted to present Megan with this binder, because it's really the place where we're going to have the most committed enthusiasts for the Golf. And obviously with that many Spektrum owners there, we're probably never going to see that many all in the same room, including Mac, who drove from 2,300 miles from somewhere in Canada, north of where I don't know. I'm not good at geography. So
the other reason for that decision was to have as many eyes like looking at Megan as possible.
Like, there was a little bit of how do we torture our good friend Megan, because we were expecting tears. We got what we
I
were
delivered.
expecting. But all that to be said, Megan, we really haven't talked to you since that exact moment of handing over the book on stage in front of, again, we'll call it 600 people. So we want to know what you think, man. Like, I know Adam and I were flying high about this for months and months and months, and we were really, really hyped. And to hand it over to you, I think, as like, it felt like kind of the least we could as a golf community do for you, because you do just so much for us. But now you got to spill the beans and tell us how you're feeling.
I think if there's one word to sum up how I felt, how I'm feeling, I will always feel about this gesture as a whole is grateful, humbled, appreciative, and if nothing else, it completely embodies what the VW community is all about. And before I go too far into the weeds on my emotions and how I felt about this, I want to make sure you guys know how thankful I am for all the work you put into this. And Adam, for you, it sounds like this became your other full-time job. So I can only guess at the number of hours you put into sending these cars out, tracking them, finding the lost ones, hounding people who, life happens and they forget to pass things along and put them in the mail. So thank you both so much for what you did to make this happen, because this gesture is incredible, right? Like who could imagine, like, for me as an enthusiast, as a Volkswagen person, like this was just something I wanted to do for these Spektrum VW owners. We often talk about, how can we make the enthusiast experience special, particularly for Golf R and in some cases, obviously GTI customers, because we've done stuff for them too. How can we do stuff a little bit different? How can we engage with them? And it's like, for me, it's natural, right? Like I own one, I go to shows, and friends in real life and online with so many of these enthusiasts. So it's just interaction, right? Human interaction. And I've always loved receiving cards. I've always loved writing. I love the art of a handwritten card. And yeah, so it was just kind of fun. Like every single week I would get a sales report. And on that sales report, I would just have, basic customer information, name, address, VIN, selling dealer. And that's all I needed. I put together the card. I got a tiny bit of budget from my team to basically buy all the supplies and the crafts, and found a template online and printed stuff out and pasted stuff on. And yeah, so it was really just a simple passion project for me as an enthusiast. So I think what I've received is 100-fold greater than what I did, right? Like the amount of group effort, time, and energy that went into this book is beyond any construct of my imagination. So to say that I'm floored by it is an understatement. So thank you.
So have you spent time like reading? Have you read all the comments?
I have at least twice. Yes, I have.
Amazing. Are there any that like look? And I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to preface it a little bit first. I'd like to think that there is not one comment in there that is not insanely meaningful and
correct.
And it's not kind of like you had just said, like you're so grateful. So when I ask them, when I ask you, are there a few that stand out or that are like extra special? That is in no way saying that they aren't all incredible. So nobody gets sad when Megan doesn't pick your comment as her favorite. We only got, I told Adam we had unlimited time, but that's a lie. We don't have unlimited time.
We don't. And we also don't want to like, bore everybody by, each one of these notes is very special. And I don't mean the word boredom, but we're not going to sit here and just read out every single one, because that, it takes away from the whole experience. Yeah, so I can definitely pick out a few, and I don't have to say who wrote it. I can just say the color.
Adam will know. Adam will know instantly who wrote it based on color.
You know, right? I will first of all compliment everybody. I was able to read everybody's handwriting. So for those of y'all who reached out to me later and you said, "Oh, I'm sorry, like my handwriting is crap, you couldn't read it." Hey, I could read everything, so you guys did it. I think the messages that really stick out to me are the ones that speak to having a group of people together, how the Spektrum program has grown in another awesome Volkswagen community of enthusiasts, thanking me for making the project happen. But I want to kind of time out right there, and make sure that we also give a special thanks to one of our Canadian colleagues, Adam, whom I know helped you out tremendously.
Hmm.
And I would be remiss in not mentioning Scott's name. Scott is also a VW Spektrum owner himself. He has a Jazz Blue e-Golf. He lives in Canada. He actually just moved on to a new role with Electrify Canada. So congratulations to Scott. But without him, not only would we not have Spektrum in Canada, but we also probably would not have been able to get the ball rolling for Spektrum in the US. So just want to take a moment and thank Scott too.
Scott,
Yeah,
we would have
Scott
sent
was-
you a binder, but you left. So sorry. maybe no. Just that's incredible. We much appreciation to Scott, and I'm sure all the hard work that he had to do to get even the first step of this long journey moving.
Yeah, for sure. I think when people talk about, this car is a dream come true, or thank you for all you've done and continue to do for the Volkswagen enthusiast community, and that those are the things that make me feel like I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. I'm meant to be a lifer with Volkswagen and doing what I do. And I think that there are a few people who are fortunate to find that sort of reciprocal love in what they do. And obviously there are ups and downs with every job. I mean, Charles, you see the stuff that, whether we deal with it in the Markate group, or I know that it's stuff that I deal with.
Fun fact, my Markate
has been in headquarters.
Fun fact, my Markate has been in the shop for almost 2 weeks now.
I know, right? But so obviously there are things out of our control, but I think what I'm yammering on about is I feel really fortunate to be part of this community. To one of my favorite things ever was when we were at Wookiees in the Woods, and you guys had just gifted me this wonderful book, and I was in an emotional place. And then all of a sudden, out of the corner of the room, all of the Spektrum owners who were there yell out, "Thanks, Mom."
Yeah.
I had no idea that was coming. And I was totally surprised. I think I actually kept talking over it because I was like, I didn't know what happened, but I'm great that you caught that. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah. I mean, these cars feel like my ducklings. Every owner whom I've interacted with has been wonderful. And you can't say that about every single person that you meet. Obviously not just in life, but whether it's at car meets or whatever. The VW Spektrum family is truly a family, and it's all here in this book, right? Like that proves the awesomeness of these owners.
Love it. I love it. So now you also have to pay attention to when there are shows. If there's going to be Spektrum owners, you have to bring your book, and like you said at the beginning, have them sign your yearbook. Stay cool. Have a rad summer.
Call me.
Yeah. I don't really know what else people would write in yearbooks because that was a long time ago for me. Anyway, I think the big takeaway here is a couple of things. One, the VW community in general is overall pretty rad. Two, we are insanely fortunate to have someone at the corporate level in Megan that, and there are, I assume, others as well that would probably slide right into a similar place as you do, Megan. You're just the one that seems to be the most out there and always willing to answer questions and do content with like Paul and I or whatever, and come to rad events and stuff like that. We're super fortunate because I think very rarely do you get that from the brand down to the level of the average owner and to be able to have that interaction. So that's really rad. The Spektrum family is amazing. The VW owners are passionate about their cars. And I think y'all Spektrum owners, I'm included in this too, I guess. That's next level. Like chasing down other people with the same car you have in a different color is wild. My effort stops at this.
Oh yeah,
usually this way on the steering wheel. Hi. So bravo to you guys, and Adam. Really, the majority, if not all, I think we'll just go ahead and say all the credit really does go to you and how hard you worked before this to put this little family together and keep together, and the data tracking that you've done and how every color and almost all the owners in every color.
I
It's
think he
wild,
probably
dude.
has the VINs memorized.
Yeah, what's my VIN?
I have gotten to a point where I've started recognizing VIN numbers.
That is how
Yeah.
you are the
I'm
architect.
like, someone
in
has sent
fact.
me a picture of this VIN number
It's like
before.
DEFCON 5 of obsession.
So if you want
yeah,
a
stage
Spektrum
5 clinger.
car, you need to get with Adam, and he will put you on his Spektrum Golf R or possibly eGolf in Canada waiting list. And then you can wait till the next one comes up, because the cars are pretty awesome, and it's really cool to have a special color from the factory. And I think we could all agree that, boy, wouldn't it be awesome if we could do more things like that. But maybe it would
I've
make
got
the
to
ones we
say
do
that
less special.
for all of the Spektrum stuff, at the beginning, it was obviously me hunting for things online, wherever I could find it, whether it was Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, some like blog post, whatever. It was a lot of time spending looking for stuff. I'm really fortunate now where a majority of my time is spent filtering through the stuff that people are sending me. So I am getting links for cars for sale all the time. Like maybe 30% of the time they're actually a Spektrum. People
VIN
are
check.
constantly, VIN check. Thanks, Megan. People are sending me, spotted pictures. There is a handful of people who have sent me messages saying like, hey, if this spec ever comes up, let me know. So I do have, the best I can, a list of cars that are for sale either in US or Canada, also people who are looking and what their details are of what spec they're looking for. So there's been a couple people that I've come back to months later like, hey, look, this car finally came available for sale, you better jump on it if you're ready. And I've been actually pretty helpful with 2 or 3 people making connections to buying a Spektrum. So maybe more, probably more, but just
I
2
think
or 3
more
that
than
I
you
know for
realize.
sure.
Yeah,
I hope so.
There's definitely more than you realize.
Good. That's my hope and dream.
Awesome. Adam,
one thing I wanted to end with real quick is a little bit more numbers, because I was just looking at my notes. I do have information that the total number of cards signed in your book should be 31, but it's actually 30 because TechnoBlue has gone missing. Of all the people that signed cards, I counted up 142 people total between US and Canada, minus the 3 for TechnoBlue, so are in there. And I didn't end up getting a really accurate total miles traveled for all the cards. I am guessing, based on most of the information that I've got in here, that all of the cards in all traveling with me together, traveling all around the US and Canada, is over 50,000 miles.
Wow.
And because we have at least one from Hawaii also.
Not that I sent you.
Oh, it says it will be fun.
Oh, yes.
So
there is one Viper Green. Okay.
Taking their Spektrum.
Yvonne just asked me about this yesterday, about Hawaii. He's like, did anybody buy one in Hawaii? I said, I didn't even have to look it up. Yes, there was one Racing Green that was bought in Hawaii. I've never been able to find it, or have not heard from them. But I do know one Viper Green owner that is in California that is moving to Hawaii. Yeah. So they'll have to be a Spektrum gathering in Hawaii.
I'm here for it.
That is fantastic. All right, Adam, right. You had said it earlier, but what's that Instagram where people can follow all things Spektrums?
All things Spektrum is at spektrum.only on Instagram. I try not to merge too much, but my brother-in-law and I also run an Instagram handle and YouTube channel called It's Pronounced Vag, as you can see on my hat. So that's where it all started, and then spiraled into the Spektrumness that it has become.
Okay, one more question. I said I only had 2 questions, Adam, but I lied. Okay. I have one more. If you had your pick of the fleet in the Spektrum, which one would it be?
Okay. I have a little bit of a story to tell about this. So if I was choosing directly from the binder, I think I would have ended up with Racing Green. Just because I love the greens and I love the green palette. Having seen so many of the colors now, like I tell everybody, like I would have got it and would have loved it until I saw a bunch of the other colors and like just kick myself and be like, God dang it, why did I do, why did I do that? But I love all of them. Um, the one color that I love the most, and I've never seen it in person, so I think I love it the most, is a discontinued color from Canada called Champagne Metallic. It's kind of this like rose metallic color, so a little bit of a pink color. Only 4 were made in Canada, and so the color was discontinued for 2019. The 4th one that was made is a 2019 unit. It was ordered and got accidentally through the system and processed, and then once they figured out like what happened, they're like, oh, we will fix however that happened. So there is one accidental 2019 Champagne Metallic that I haven't found yet. I know the other 3, but like if I come across that one, like I might be really interested in trying to import that one because of its story and the color. That would be really cool.
I think you have to. I don't
I
think,
know.
I think you got to do it. All right, Megan, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Ooh.
Which one would you get?
So I am torn among 3 equally, but I will go on record to say my favorite VW Spektrum color is Caribbean green, on record. Second favorite, 91 blue.
Mm-hmm.
And third favorite would have to be Violet Touch Pearl.
I think that is
those are my
hell of a
top 3.
list. And that Caribbean
top 3.
green, man, what a color. It looks nothing
In
like
person.
it looks
Oh yeah,
online in person.
It's the thickest color. Like,
it is very rich.
they're all beautiful. It's okay to have favorites, right? Like looks, design, they're subjective things. So Caribbean green really does it for me.
Yeah, Melissa is the owner of the Caribbean green, very beautifully modified. Melissa has cost me. Melissa and I are in this like thing where we just keep costing each other more money because like she sees something that I did, and she's like, I need that, and then I see something that she's the reason why I have an Oettinger rear spoiler because it's like, yo, that looks dope. I'm gonna get that. And so, Melissa, if you're still watching, thanks, appreciate that. I actually stumbled into mine. I reached out. I found out about the program. I reached out to the dealer that I worked at. I was like, hey, I want to order a traffic purple one. And he's like, I actually already ordered a Ginster one because like that's a color I remember from, you know, back in the Mark III days. I was like, okay, like awesome. That's probably the only way I'm going to get one. So no problem. And then I saw a picture of a traffic purple and I was like, oh, it's a cool color, but I didn't really want a pink car because it is for
you were probably
sure
expecting
not
more of the raspberry red.
I was.
Right?
I was expecting much more purple than
the one owner of a traffic purple that I know. She didn't intend to buy this car, but it was at the dealer while she was trying to buy a white Golf R, and they joked about like her ending up with the pink one or traffic purple. She was like, "There we go." One of the very first things she ever said to me is, "She's like, it might have purple in the name, but that bitch is pink." Like,
it's the pink Beetle equivalent of purple.
Yeah, it's
basically.
definitely a lot more fuchsia than it is purple.
Yeah.
But in person, it's
great
pretty
color.
stellar.
I didn't know that story, Charles. I didn't know that was, you know, what you intended to get.
I would have had a traffic purple had I been able to order one. And to be fair, I would have been very happy with it because the color is cool, and my daughter would have lost her mind if I bought a pink car.
Yeah.
But having a yellow one, having a car that's one of 13, having a Mark III heritage color is pretty awesome. I had a Mark III GTI at the time when I bought that. I'm still on my quest to not pay $1 million for a Ginster Mark III so that I can be the guy that has a Ginster Mark III and a Ginster 7.5R. But based on Mark III prices, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. So yeah, maybe unless you got anybody still watching, if you got a Ginster Mark III GTI, that's not a rust bucket.
Comment section is about to be flooded with "Buy my Mark III. I know what I have."
Yeah. Hey, I know what you have too, so that works out just fine.
Towers, maybe? I don't know.
Megan, is there anything you would like to wrap up with as we kind of close the door on this? Very fun, and I loved these stories, Adam, by the way.
Me too.
I didn't hear any of this already, so it's very, very cool.
2 brief things from me. First, I just want to read a short note that sums up why I love this community, why this book means so much to me. I'm not going to call out who it is or what color it is. Because I don't want anyone to feel like hurt that they did not get chosen. But it says, Megan, thank you for your part in making my driving experience truly one of a kind. I still smile every time I get behind the wheel.
Love it.
Like, that to me is reason for what I do. So that was point number 1. Point number 2 is obviously the elephant in the room. Are we getting this from Mark 8? So I'll just be here to try to answer that question. Number 1, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you that. Number 2, I don't know. Number 3, am I trying to work on it? Absolutely, but I can't make any promises. So just know that I can't look that far into the future necessarily, and I guess kind of keep our fingers crossed. But I would not stop it from letting you buy a Mark 8 Golf R. If you're like, oh, I want to wait for more colors, just buy a Golf R now, and if more come out in more colors, then market's hot. Sell it, get a new one.
Independently wealthy, and you can have all the Golf Rs
Also
you
that
want. What I will say,
buying, flipping their Golf Rs, like
as an owner of a handful of generations of Golf R, and as much as every time I get in my R32, my Mark IV, I literally out loud get halfway through the neighborhood and go, God, I love this car every time.
Yeah.
The Mark 8 is incredible. If you can get one, get one. The car's phenomenal top to bottom. I'm not and Megan and Adam both know this. I hated the color selection for Mark 8 that we got for R. I was disappointed in the white. I swore I'd never own another black car after owning one. And I think it's time for a different blue for R. I don't care what the hell color it is while I'm driving it, because the car is incredible. So don't wait. You're missing out. The car's great.
And I will continue to spread rumors of potential standard colors.
You do you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think that is a good note to end on. Thank you all for watching. If you have any Spektrum questions, direct them to this way, Adam. And as you guys already probably, if you're watching still, you already know Megan and you follow her and all the great stuff that she does for us. So I think that's it.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Charles. Thanks, Megan.
Bye.
Bye.